ever feel like, the world wants you to fit in this neat little box, follow all the rules, stay in the lines.
Right.
Well, Ayn Rand's the Fountainhead. We meet Howard Roark. He's an architect. And he kind of throws that box out the window.
Yeah, he does.
Maybe blows up the building it came from, too, just to prove a point.
And he doesn't just make a point. I mean, this guy embodies a whole philosophy. It's one that celebrates the individual.
Yeah.
Like that creative spirit above all else.
Yeah, exactly. And get this, right away, right from the start, Rand throws us into this whirlwind, ambition, integrity, and some serious buildings, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've got blueprints everywhere over here, notes scribbled. Because trust me, this is a deck dive. We're talking about a world where compromise is like a dirty word.
It's wild how Rand brings in these three main characters. You've got Howard Roark, he's the architect, totally uncompromising. Then there's Peter Keating, Rourke's classmate, ambitious guy. And then Dominique Francon, she sees the world a little differently.
Yeah, and it's like their graduation from architecture school. It's like this launch pad. Each of them, they hit this crossroads.
Right.
Are they going to, do what's expected, or are they going to walk their own path, even if it means being totally alone?
And the choices they make, I mean, it's really something. Roark, he chooses integrity.
Yeah.
Over everything. He'd rather have a hard time, get rejected, working for some forgotten architect. He won't compromise on his vision.
And then there's Keating. Talk about ambition. This guy, he is focused on success, like laser focused. He's all about joining this prestigious firm. Frankon and Hire, right? Yeah. Even if it means giving up his own artistic voice, it's like he'll pay any price to get that recognition.
You know what's interesting? Even early on you can see Keating, his self-worth, it's all about what other people think. Remember that part where he's comparing himself to Schlenker? Schlenker was this mediocre student.
Oh, yeah.
And Keating, he actually feels good that Schlenker's not talented. I mean, that just shows you his ego, it needs to be better than everyone else. It's fragile.
Which makes what Roark's going through even more intense. People are constantly telling him to change, to tone it down, make his designs, more normal.
Yeah.
But Roark, he just won't budge.
Just that scene with the dean at Stanton Institute of Technology, you really see it. The dean, he practically begs Roark to take a year off, tells him to grow up.
Wow.
Implying that Roark's individuality is childish or something.
And Roark's answer? A classic. I feel nothing of the kind. He'd rather, scrub floors than design a building that betrays his vision. You gotta admire that conviction.
Oh, absolutely.
That unwavering belief in yourself, even when it feels like everyone's telling you you're wrong.
And it's that belief that leads him to Cameron. His mentor, Henry Cameron, is like this symbol of that spirit. Uncompromising, pure. Cameron was a great architect once. Now he's forgotten, dismissed. But for Roark, he's a guide, not just in design, but in how to deal with a world that hates originality.
Yeah, Cameron's huge for Roark. Because it's not just about being good, it's about the guts to stick by your work. Even if you end up poor, ridiculed, completely ignored, that takes something else.
And that's the choice that Roark makes. Every single time. Rejection after rejection. Clients who don't get it. Colleagues who think he's stubborn or arrogant.
Yeah, kind of sad, really, when you think about it. This incredible architect just trying to get by. And meanwhile, Keating, Mr. Play the Game, he's just climbing that ladder of success.
Yeah.
No guilt, no second thoughts.
It really highlights that big conflict in the Fountainhead. The people who create versus the people who exploit. Keating, he chose the easy path, and he becomes what Rand calls a second-hander. Someone who lives through other people, their own spirit just disappears under all that conformity. When you really see that idea of creation versus exploitation is with Roark's early career, when he designs the Heller House especially.
Oh, the Heller House. That's a building that practically throws a grenade at, every rule of architecture.
It really is.
It's, super modern, all about clean lines, function over form. And it's dropped right in the middle of this neighborhood, all these stuffy mansions.
It's a statement, that's for sure. And the way people react, it's priceless. Some people, they're just confused. Others, they're offended, really offended.
Yeah.
It's like this test, to see if you get Roark, if you understand what he's doing.
You get it or you don't.
Right.
And for Roark, a lot of people, especially the ones who could give him work, they just don't.
True, but there are some who do see it. See the brilliance, I mean. Those moments, even though they're rare, they give Roark something to hold on to.
Yeah.
Remember Nathaniel Janz?
Oh, yeah, Janz. He's hesitant at first about Roark's designs for his office building.
Right. Who wouldn't be? I mean, Roark's work, not exactly what everyone else was doing.
Not even close.
But there's this great part where he's looking over the plans, and he just says, it doesn't make sense, but let me think it over. He knows there's something there, something special. It's like Roark is challenging the whole idea of what a building should be.
And he becomes one of Roark's few supporters, even goes up against his own board of directors to get Roark's building built. It was a small win, but it showed that Roark's work, it could get through to people if they were willing to actually look at it.
That's it. And that's what makes Keating's little rise to fame so, I don't know, fascinating, sad even.
Yeah.
Roark is struggling to even get work that fits with what he believes in. And Keating, he's swimming in the success that Roark doesn't even want.
True. Keating's designs, they're everywhere. Awards, recognition, you name it. But something about it feels off, you know?
Totally. Because the price of Keating's success, it's his artistic soul. He's become like this puppet. Ellsworth Toohey, that critic, the one who loves all the mediocre, safe stuff. Keating's eating out of his hand.
Toohey's like that friend, right, who always has to tell you what movies to watch, what books to read, even what to think. And you start to doubt yourself.
Yeah. And the worst part is, Keating has no clue he's being played. He wants Toohey's approval so badly. It's a train wreck waiting to happen. For him and for his career, too.
And that train wreck, it kind of becomes the Cortlandt Homes project, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Cortlandt Homes. Talk about a disaster waiting to happen. Yeah. That project was supposed to be about affordable housing. But it turns into this battleground. Roark's individualism versus Toohey's, well, I'd call it manipulative collectivism.
Okay, for anyone who hasn't read the book yet, get ready. Because this is where things get intense.
So Keating, he's a partner at the firm now, and he's given the job of designing Cortlandt Homes. He's desperate for Toohey to like him, so he goes to Roark for help. He shows him the plans, and, well, let's just say they're not very Roark.
It's almost hard to watch. Keating's so insecure, looking for approval from the one guy who'd never give it to him. And Roark, he sees right through Keating, calls him out on it, too.
And Keating just loses it. Remembers what he says to Roark. He screams at him, "Who are you? You don't even have the wits to know that you're a flop, an incompetent, a beggar, a failure, a failure, a failure."
Brutal.
Right. It's this heartbroken outburst. But it's Keating's own insecurities, just pouring out.
And that's when Dominique, she's married to Keating now, remember? She sees it. The difference between Roark and everyone else, the gap is huge.
In that realization, it's going to have big consequences for all of them. As Cortlandt Homes goes on, it sets up this showdown, something that's going to shake everything up.
So we're left with this, with Cortlandt Homes, right? This powder keg.
Yeah.
Keating, he wants approval so badly, he lets Toohey just take over. Turns Roark's design into, God, it's awful.
Like you said, a betrayal. Everything Roark believes in, just trashed. And that leads to, well, he blows it up. Dynamite.
No kidding. Talk about making a statement. I mean, he'd rather destroy his own work than see it standing there, like some symbol of
mediocrity.
Exactly. But then there's the trial. And that's where it gets really interesting. Rand, she takes us past the drama, and makes us think about the ideas behind it all.
It's brilliant how she uses the trial. It's like this battle of philosophies. Roark, he defends himself, and he gives this whole speech about second-handers, about people who can't think for themselves. They just do what everyone else says.
It's like he's got the whole system on trial.
Bradley.
Making everyone ask, what are we even valuing here? Conformity over actual achievement.
And remember, he doesn't call a single witness.
Really? Not even Dominique?
Nope. And she has her own reasons, right? This whole act of rebellion, marrying Keating, because the world wouldn't accept Roark. But it didn't bring her anything good.
It's like Roark saying, my work, that's enough. That's my defense. And the whole courtroom, it's like this fight between two sides. You've got Roark, the individual, and then Toohey pulling all these strings, pushing for control for everyone to be the same.
And in the middle of it all, there's Gale Winand, newspaper tycoon.
Yeah.
Powerful guy. He's watching all of this, but he's got his own issues going on.
Oh, Winand, he's fascinating. Always been so drawn to Roark, but complicated, Winand, he's self-made. Built an empire by giving people what they want.
Right.
But Roark, that uncompromising spirit, it's like what Winand gave up to get power.
It's like Winand sees a version of himself in Roark.
Yeah.
The man he could have been, living by his own rules, doesn't care what anyone thinks. And then he meets Dominique, sees the same thing in her, They both see through all the BS.
And Wynand, he's a collector, right?
Oh, yeah.
Has to have it all. He becomes obsessed with owning them, literally trying to, I don't know, force them to fit his idea of them. He uses his newspaper, the Banner, to defend Roark at first.
Right.
But then Toohey gets to him and he turns on Roark, just like that.
It's tragic, in a way. Wynand, he can't handle it. Roark doesn't need anything from him. He tries to control Roark. And in doing that, he destroys the one thing he claimed to admire, that independent spirit.
And through that whole mess, Wynand and Dominique, they both kind of break free. Wynand sees his whole empire, and it's empty, meaningless. Dominique, she's out of this awful marriage, all that disappointment, and she finally just accepts her love for Roark. Society, expectations, it doesn't matter anymore.
That's what's so great about the Fountainhead, though. There's not this easy answer,
Yeah.
but you have to face these questions.
Yeah.
About integrity, about what it takes to be yourself, even when everyone's telling you to just fall in line.
Makes you think about every compromise, every choice we make, what it costs us, you know? Will we stand up like Roark, risk it all for what we believe in, or would we take the easy way out, even if it means losing a piece of ourselves?
And that's why this book sticks with you long after you're done reading, because it makes you ask yourself, what does it really mean to be alive, to be authentic?
It's a deep dive, all right? Might leave you feeling off balance, but isn't that the whole point? A deep dive is about challenging what we think we know, seeing things in new ways, maybe even inspiring us to create something amazing, even if it's just inside ourselves. Thanks for joining us.